Good evening. Today is Wednesday, February 25th, 2026. This is a regular meeting of the Newburgh Enlarged City School District School Board. And welcome, everyone. We're going to begin tonight with the roll call, followed by the budget workshop.
Ms. Christine Bello.
Here.
Ms. Thomasina Bello.
Here.
Ms. Boucher.
Here.
Mr. Bergarelli.
Present.
Ms. Burks.
Here.
Mr. Duray.
Present.
Mr. Howard.
Here.
Mr. Levenstein.
Here.
Ms. Politi.
Here.
Thank you. Ms. Roaring tonight and the team is going to conduct the budget workshop. Good evening.
Thank you, Mr. Duray. I am conducting it with quite a team behind me. They're all going to have their turn at the podium. To start out our budget update this evening, we're going to first provide a few clarifications around the State Comptroller's audit that was recently issued. I want to note that the audit began back in May of 2024, and the fieldwork concluded in January of 2025. They did an initial exit conference in February of 2025 with both district and board leadership. Despite this comprehensive regulatory audit, the board approved a forensic audit at its meeting on March 5th that cost taxpayers almost $180,000. The OSC audit covered a 5-year period beginning in July of 2019 and concluding in June of 2024. It's important to note that the 2023-2024 school year is the only year that Dr. Campbell and myself led district finances from development through execution. The 23-24 state aid estimate was based on the adopted legislative budget. The district does not plan for surplus funds at the end of the year to fund restricted reserves. We plan to execute an entire budget. Surplus funds are the result of unfilled budgeted positions, many of them mandated, and associated benefits expenses, combined with revenue received greater than what was anticipated. This was largely attributable to significantly underestimated excess cost in the state aid runs versus what we received. Next slide. Current district leadership acknowledges that there were surplus funds existed at the end of the 23-24 school year. It is important to note that these funds were used to largely offset legal liability settlements totaling more than $16 million approved by the Board of Ed. This saved district taxpayers the expense of borrowing funds or adjusting programs to cover this unanticipated expense. They were also used to fund the capital reserve. Current leadership has been able to bring forward 3 specific projects outside of the propositions that were voted on back in 2019 that were funded by these capital reserves. At the end of the 22, 23, and 24 school years, the Board of Education approved funding of reserves. It is critical to note that at no time were those levels exceeded. In the development of the 24-25 budget, we identified that there was a structural gap in the budget, which means that our projected expenses and projected revenues in the future continue to have expenses outpace revenue. We either needed to make adjustments on the expense side or increase our continued revenue. Our state aid increase for the 24-25 year was just over $1 million. It is important to note that that was the first year after the 3 full-year phase-in of foundation aid. 24-25 was also the first year without federal one-time COVID funds that had substantially supported district instructional and operations. In the 24-25 year, which is outside of the State Comptroller's audit period, the district did propose a tax levy increase of 2.48%, which is equal to $2.7 million. The tax levy increase proposed for 24-25 was the first in 9 years and the only levy increase from 2015-16 to the present year. Everyone who lives in New York State pays income taxes. Those funds are used to support education across the state. High poverty districts, like the Newburgh Enlarged City School District, benefit from significant state aid, largely funded from our statewide taxpayers. We receive approximately 65% of our revenue each year in state aid. Our budget development update tonight is going to conclude an update on where we are in the process, as well as the tax cap calculation, which has to be filed by March 1st. And tonight you're going to hear from the Curriculum and Instruction Department, Exceptional Learners, Data and Information Technology, and Student Support Services. Currently, we are continuing to review positions, funded vacancies as well as grant-funded positions, retirement notifications, and staffing needs for our opening of the Career and Technical Education Center next year. We'll continue to provide updates throughout the process. The tax cap calculation is actually separated over 2 slides. So on the first slide, you see the current year's tax levy, which is $113.6 million. You see the tax base growth factor there of 1.0064, which means there is not significant growth in our tax base. Our pilot's receivable for this year is just over $2.14 million. For the 25-26 year, our capital tax levy exclusion is just over $4 million, and that is a calculation of the district's debt service payment minus the building aid we received to offset that expense. As we know, inflation has been over 2%, so the allowable levy growth factor is either 2% or inflation, whichever is lower. Our pilot's receivable for next year are anticipated to be $2.14 million, which means our initial tax levy before exclusions for next year would be $112.5 million. When we look at the exclusions, there's only one exclusion permissible for the 26-27 year, and that is the capital tax levy exclusion. That is, again, the district's debt service minus our building aid based on the governor's state aid run. For us next year, that's $7.39 million, which means our allowable levy limit would be $119.9 million. It is important to note on this line 3 above, we have the 27 proposed tax levy limit, and we are expecting that to remain flat at $113.6 million. We're going to lead off tonight with curriculum and instruction, so Dr. Soto and Dr. O'Grady will come and present that section.
Hi, everyone. You gonna come up? Oh. So I have 4 kids at home, and when I was a teacher, they used to come and help me set up my classroom in the summer. And then when I became a principal of a building, they'd come in when they were off and help me set up bulletin boards. And they had a very clear understanding of what I did. Recently, my college-age son visited me at work in Newburgh. His name is John, supposedly to take me out to lunch, but I somehow ended up paying, so explain that one to me. And during lunch, he looked up at me and he said, "Mom, I don't mean to offend you, but what is it you actually do now?" Curriculum and instruction. At its core, curriculum instruction is about one simple thing: what students are learning and how well they're taught. Our team works mostly behind the scenes so that when every student, every goalback walks in a classroom, whether they're 5 years old and they're learning how to read, or whether they're a high school student and they're learning algebra, the materials, lessons, and teaching strategies make sense, are aligned, and actually help them learn. Want to go to the next, who has the slide thingy? Oh, next slide. Thank you. So what does that look like in real life? It means making sure that teachers have up-to-date curriculum and materials. It means providing training and coaching. It means using student data to understand what's working and, well, what's not, and where students need more support. And this year, it also means looking for a new reading curriculum and opening a CTE building. So when you see these budget lines tonight, you're not just seeing positions or supplies, you're seeing the infrastructure that supports teaching and learning across the district. The work that helps ensure classrooms are aligned, teachers are supported, and students get a strong, consistent education no matter where they attend school here in Newburgh. And so when I finally did answer my son, I told him I don't teach one classroom anymore, but rather we work with a wonderful team of educators who help make sure that teachers across the district have the tools, support, and direction they need to teach every goalback every day. And so simply, that's what curriculum instruction does here.
So our budget also is intended to support our strong leadership teams in our schools. Key takeaways from this slide, excellent, is that in September, our superintendent analyzed our staffing levels and decided to cut administrative positions. There were overlying positions. There's also a slight increase from last year due to more staff longevity pay and stipends included. We also included stipend budget for each school to support daily operations. We know that great schools improve when they have great teachers and great leaders to guide their work every day. Am I on the right slide? I'm going backwards. That is me. Excellent. Thank you. And these are staffing positions that we've noted. Thank you, Kimberly. So our top priority remains clear: strengthening teaching and learning in every classroom across the district. This budget makes sure that teachers have strong lesson materials, updated technology, and the training they need to teach effectively. It also keeps academic support in place for students who need the additional help. Some takeaways are, the budget did increase year over year, and that's due to teacher salaries increase to reflect contracts, teaching assistants and substitutes supported with added funding. The cost of supplies and materials increased across the board. We have textbook and classroom resources funded for all of our schools. Tuition and BOE services adjusted to match student needs. So, our district currently supports a total of 568 full-time positions dedicated to student learning and support. So, one of the most exciting components of this budget is the continued development of our CTE programs and CTE building. To the left are the list of courses we currently offer our students, and to the right are the courses that the board approved at our last meeting. Thank you very much for that. So this budget will support a facility that represents a transformative opportunity for our students. It provides state-of-the-art, hands-on learning environments aligned with high-demand industries such as health sciences, skilled trades, technology, and other career-focused pathways. So, not only will our students graduate with a diploma, they will graduate with industry-recognized certifications. We also want to offer more career and technical course options for our middle school students to help them prepare for our pathways and beyond. I'd also like to add that the CTE building and the CTE programs support our district's Portrait of a Graduate. So here we have our library media proposed budget. There is a slight increase. However, library materials funding is based on a state formula, in which Kimberly noted on this slide, Ms. Roaring. And this funding is reimbursed through state aid rather than being a permanent local expense. So, our athletic director, Mr. Herrera, has worked diligently to ensure our athletic programs remain accessible, competitive, and inclusive. These are our fall sport offerings, our winter sport offerings, and our spring sport offerings. And I want to thank the board for supporting a strong athletic program because it builds pride, it brings our community together, and it helps students stay motivated and grow. And these experiences also are aligned with the Portrait of a Graduate. So this budget reflects our commitment to our athletes. Athletics play a role in developing the whole child. And here's our staffing. So the budget also prioritizes the growth of our fine and performing arts program. We are proud to offer our students an expanding array of courses designed to increase both enrollment and meaningful student experiences. Our board, in our last meeting, also approved several course offerings, and so now more than ever, our students are receiving opportunities to discover and develop their talents than ever before, and thank you for that. And this is the faculty that is strengthening student engagement and school identity. So that concludes our curriculum and instruction division of the budget proposal. And I'd also like to add that this work would not be possible without the board's continued support, leadership, commitment, and collaborative spirit with our superintendent. Because all of that work allows us to provide the gold standard for our gold backs. Thank you.
Next, you're going to hear from Ms. McKitty Bromley. She's going to talk to us about our Exceptional Learners Department.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, everyone. This is my first budget update, so please bear with me. Okay, this is our Exceptional Learner organizational chart, starting with myself, and as you can see, the staff members that go under which make this division work. What we do, every function in this area is legally mandated. We take care of compliance, service coordination, transition and placements, partnerships and communication, and operations. So behind every IEP is an operational infrastructure. We manage a large number of spending and responsible for ensuring students actually receive the services that is outlined on their IEP. Next. Fast facts. So coming into the Newburgh School District, I took a look at some of the numbers, and we did a comparison between last school year and this school year, and there has been an increase in our school-age population by 150 students, which is a 7% increase in the exceptional learner students. Out-of-district placements are currently up. The numbers for our total students also are inclusive of school age. Those are the students from kindergarten to high school, and preschool are our students that are 3 and 4. So our three-year-olds and 4-year-olds. So we have a large number of over 2,500 students are identified as requiring, exceptional education and services. The growth is real, and our staffing and budget has to reflect it. Okay. Oh, budget. So I'm going to probably lean on Kimberly for some of these parts in the budget, as this is my first time doing this. But there is a notable increase, as you can see outlined between the actual budget and the proposed budget. There are some changes with our private placements. Students in our district are requiring additional services that we cannot provide within district. We do not have the staffing, we don't have the resources. Sometimes it can be as much as a facility that we don't have the medical and needed service within district to retain our students within district. Therefore, we have to have them in outer district placements, which are very costly. All right. There's also increases in related service provision. All of the items that are outlined on the students' IEPs, for example, OT, if you see OT, which is occupational therapy, PT, physical therapy, vision services, and many of those require sometimes outsourcing, contracting, other agencies to support that we cannot do within district, hence increasing some of the expenditures. Okay. Our staffing, as you can see, we have a large special education staff members due to sometimes the small classes, which if we have 812s, 1212s, which would require a lot more teachers to staff those classes. And you see the speech-related service providers are outlined. We have to follow what's on the IEP, so we need the staffing to fulfill those needs. Okay, so we have significant factors that are impacting the proposed budget, that I spoke on before. The increase in staffing needing, the services that are provided. Remember, this is legally mandated for every student. We must provide the services that are outlined in the IEPs. So they're really not aspirational, they're operational necessities tied directly to compliance. All right, and also caseload and student outcomes. I won't read them all, but you can see, go through them at your leisure. So I have some asks. So coming in, looking at our current And I thank you for approving 2 of our supervisors prior to this evening. However, looking at our current staffing, we are understaffed. We are unable to provide the services that we are legally mandated to provide with the current staffing. I'll just give a short example. We have the over 2,000 students. This is just one aspect of the meeting. The facets and the requirements for exceptional education is extensive. Just looking at the sheer numbers, every one of those students require an annual review meeting. That is a meeting, that is just one meeting. There are several other meetings, initials and things like that, which I don't have the time to go into tonight, but just annual reviews are 2,400 plus. Currently, we have 6 administrators who are currently fulfilling those needs, 6 people by 2,400. That is not enough staff members, and we do have the CPSC chair people who are taking care of that area, but the current staffing is unable to meet the needs. We want to stay compliant. That is our utmost, and that is our goal, to be compliant, so this way the outcome and improve student outcomes when we are compliant. So some of our asks are having a behavior analyst, hiring behavior analysts to support the behavioral needs of the students. We have lots of students are with increasing behavioral challenges. Teachers need to be equipped on how to support those students within the classroom, so we don't always have to rely on outside entities. We can do it within district. So that is the reason for the BCBAs. We're looking for 2 additional chairpersons to help with the CSE meetings, transfer meetings, also to facilitate and ensure that we are compliant. Instructional coach. We have 1 instructional coach for all the buildings. We are asking for another one to provide the feedback to teachers, providing them support to, of course, improve instruction and help the students with disabilities, and additional clerical support. Each item entails a lot from our support staff, and as the current support staff is not able to keep up with the compliance timelines. Everything in our department is a timeline outlined by New York State Ed that we are trying to meet, but unfortunately, with the current staffing, we're unable to do that, and we would like to, ensure that we are compliant. Okay, we have psychologists. They are a part of our unit as well, who play an integral part in evaluations and so on, and their budget. We need them to help with to see where students are. Every 3 years, they have to be evaluated to determine whether or not they need to continue with services or discontinue. And that is our goal, that students need us to provide all the supports they need so they can go to least restrictive and ultimately declassified, so they can be with their general education peers. So with that, I'm asking for some of the asks to approve our budget. I do understand it is high cost, but this is where we are, where in the world today, everything is expensive and going up. So, we would like your support in doing that. Thank you.
All right, next, we're going to have data and information technology from Mr. McGrath.
Would have been really bad if I couldn't figure this out. Good evening, everyone. So I want to talk a little bit about the technology and data department. We have different components, including a network component, a registration component, an instructional technology component, a data component where we do things like all of our data systems and how everything works together, as well as just various different things that interact with tech. So if there is a technology component to another department, we are generally partnering with them, and we are working with them to make things better and to make sure that they're successful. A couple of things that are worth noting, especially this year, and again, these are things that are new. I want to talk about our inaugural annual update, where a part of the registration process, we had parents say in the beginning of the year, tell us, this is still your phone number, right? Now, you guys may or may not have noticed we've had a few more snow days than in previous years, right? So you talk about good timing. So because the parents went in and said, okay, this is my phone number, it's updated, and we know that they got those calls. And that's really important. We want to be able to reach out and connect with parents when they need us to. And as a result of this inaugural process, we had over 1/3 of our families connect with us and say, yep, this information is good, or make these changes. And that's really important. And that's our first year. We're going to keep that going. Over 70% of our families have an active account and are able to connect. And these are the numbers that we're at right now. These are things that we drive because we really, really believe in that power of the family connection, and having systems that help us do that is part of our mission. Over 2,000 new applications were processed this year for registration. We've done over 21 parent portals. We do foster and non-resident tuitions. And we also, when students exit, we help forward their records to make sure that they get to the school that they need to go to. All right. Some other data information. When new staff come on, right, again, we talked about partnering with different departments, so we have a huge HR initiative in terms of how we work with HR to make sure that as they automate their records, we have automations built in, right? So daily records, student attendance, report cards, transcripts, schedules, safe school information, and some other really exciting things I'm going to talk about in a second, as well as the New York State reporting. Our budget for next year, looking at this specific slide, we have some new asks. One of them is our non-instructional salaries. We do have a new staff member this year as part of the budget, so we have about $100,000 more in expenses. That includes some contractual things. E-rate is coming back. E-rate is a 5-year program. It had 0% the current year. Next year it's coming back. And one of the things that we do is we support instruction, and the instructional model in the classroom includes these interactive boards like you see here. Well, these boards have a lifespan, and we don't want to wait till they all break, so we have to be very proactive and mindful and say, okay, these things are 10, 12 years old. It's time to start a replacement cycle. So built into the budget for next year is going to be starting that process of starting to replace some of the older boards. The newer boards, of course, are going to work better for the teachers, and again, they're going to support instruction. Our goal is always support instruction, support our teachers, support our students. This is what the data and information staffing looks like. As you see, there's roughly 25 staff members. Let me talk about some of the instructional stuff. So this includes all of our instructional software. And this year, there's a new math program coming on board for next year, and there's going to be a new ELA program. So there's instructional software that we expect that will accompany that, and that's part of our budget request for next year. Always the question is what software do we need in alignment with our instructional purposes? We do things like support for our Regents grading and devices for every student. Again, there's a replacement cycle there built in. We want to make sure that if every student gets a device and the devices last 4 or 5 years, that means that we need to replace a certain number of grades each year, 2 to 3 grades each year. Otherwise, the machines become not conducive to learning, and that's a problem. So we always want to make sure that we're very proactive and we keep that replacement cycle so that it isn't hit the budget all at once. It's every year, a little piece, and we keep that thing flowing very smooth. There's, of course, your day-to-day troubleshooting. And this year, this September, we started something very exciting with some of our AI initiatives. I want to talk about that a little bit because we are actually having a national conversation, and we have districts from across the country talking to us and saying, tell us what Newburgh is doing to use AI to support cohesive instruction. And that's a really incredible thing. We heard tonight some questions around, hey, can we do differentiation? Can we have some different things? And we have some software programs using AI to help us actually support students and support our teachers to hit these lofty goals. In terms of network operations, again, we also do direct support to students. All our servers, our infrastructures, a big part of what we do is also keeping people safe, and that includes data privacy and making sure that the bad guys are out there, so we have bigger and bigger safeguards against them, and always trying to say, what can we do to support our kids, and what can we do to make sure everybody is safe? Our budget next year does include an additional $220,000. Again, new ELA curriculum and new math curriculum, and this is software mainly to support that. All right. Central registration, which I spoke about earlier. Again, not really much of a change, actually a small declination in terms of what our asks are for next year, and our staffing hasn't changed. Okay, and that brings us up to student support services.
So Dr. Freeman Mack is going to talk to us about student and support services before we conclude and take questions.
Student support services. I want to piggyback on what Dr. O'Grady said because it was important to speak about. And that is basically that, you know, who we serve is everything that is included within this budget. Who we serve and who we're accountable to, and that's our students. So with every one of us, with every one of the team that has presented, we have focused on talking about access, talking about how we can ensure that students belong, and also entry points for those students. As we're examining curriculum, we're looking at teaching and learning, and we're trying to make sure that we're making decisions that best support our students. So that's everything that we've done tonight, and I want to make it a point to say that because these folks behind me are amazing. So I want to make sure that that's what our focus is, our students, because that's who we serve. So in student support services, our organizational chart is pretty interesting. We oversee family and community engagement, grants, the hearing office, coordinating nursing services. We have parent coordinators. Sorry, my mind is all over the place. Let me just focus. There we go. Director of Pupil Personnel Services. We have a program coordinator and community liaison. I'll talk about that in a moment. Also, all of the school nurses in the school district, guidance counselors and social workers. It's important to note that you will see McKinney-Vento on this organization chart because that area is within my division. However, the McKinney-Vento liaison is totally grant funded. That is not a part of the general budget. So this gives an idea of what the grants coordinator does. The grants coordinator position is a very important position. As you know, we had an audit, and within that audit, it did talk about the need to look at monthly meetings, to look at our spend down, to make sure that we are examining what is in the FS10 and how best we can support those grants. Also, the grants coordinator does also examine opportunities for the district for grants, such as grants related to artificial intelligence or anything else that's coming along. So this gives an overview of what that division does and what that director does. We also have family and community engagement. I think everybody in here knows what family and community engagement does, also known as FACE. We have a director and some parent coordinators also within that area. They are in every single building, supporting buildings as much as possible and also supporting our students. And there are two positions you'll see that are an increase, and they're actually been in the district. They were grant funded, but we did move them to the general fund. Okay. Also, in terms of student support services, I also oversee the hearing office as well as alternative instruction. It's important to note that alternative instruction in this area is a mandate due to students who are suspended. And those suspensions are K-12, unfortunately. So we do have to provide services for students who are suspended. That's what the alternative instruction is for. It is 3 hours if you are grades 6 through 12, 2 hours if you are in elementary school, and that is each day of the suspension, and that is a mandate. So we also provide that service as well, and that is within the general fund. And the hearing office also has hearing officers as well as a clerical support staff who is there. This is the budget for those areas. And as you notice, again, the two positions that I spoke about, those non-instructional community program positions, again, they were in a grant, but we have rolled them over into the general fund. Okay, we also oversee health services. What do we do in health services? Everything. So we provide that comprehensive student health services, including first aid, emergency care, management of chronic conditions, and medical administration. We also support the 504s and the IEPs for students. We also reach out to private schools and ensure that their nursing needs are met as well. We also develop health protocols. We make sure that there is emergency preparedness plans in every single building throughout the district. There are some increases in this area, and we'll talk about those in a moment on this next slide. So within here, you're going to see some increases besides the ones that are contractual. As related to contract services for health services, you'll see a bit of an increase there, just of 10,000 regarding district physicians and contract nurses, nursing, excuse me. So if we have a student who has an IEP, who is on a bus, and they need some additional nursing services, we do have a little bit of an increase there. But we're also, we are mandated to support our students that are out of district. So as it relates to health services other than the district, there is an increase there that is projected for the fiscal year 26. So that'll be 100,000. So you will see some increases in those areas there, and those are the reasons why. These are the positions that are there that you can look over: nurse practitioner, the school nurses, school RN. We're not asking for any increases or in those areas. So as we go to the next area, pupil personnel services. So this is where we have social workers and also our guidance counselors, our school counselors. And we also have a director who oversees this area as well. Phenomenal director. Uh-oh, what did I do?
No, you're fine.
Okay, I can keep going, thank you. So you will see some contractual increases in there as well. One thing that I do want to speak about, well, you will see an increase is in contractual services, and that is Panorama software. So Panorama has been partially paid through a grant. We do not have that grant this year, so we have put it in the general fund. What we have seen with Panorama is a huge increase in usage and users. Panorama is an amazing tool that is being used to support our MTSS, as well as all of our students. I'm going to talk about Joe, and he doesn't know I'm going to do this, but it is what it is. Joe McGrath has been invited in so many different places to talk about Panorama and how it supports our students. So it's so important that this is a tool that we're using in this district. So that increase, although as hefty as it is needed to support our students, and it's an amazing tool. So there's that increase for that. Current staffing in there is also noted. Director, the principal typist is shared. And that's that. The next area, well, just a little bit more about guidance, academic and career and architect. What is it that guidance do, that guidance does, our school counselors, and how that is looking for all of our buildings, K-12. You will see some increases in there as well. Again, most of it is contractual. And there is, like with BOCE's guidance in terms of professional development and supports. That's all that's really in that area. We have 25 guidance counselors, a senior clerk, and a typist in that area as well. We are not looking for any increases in that area at this time. And the last area is our social workers. So here it talks about what it is we do, our key responsibilities in terms of clinical counseling, our crisis response team, which is very important to have, as well as our district events and other activities to support social emotional support days and things of that nature for our students. In this area as well, outside of our contractual obligations, there are not a lot of increases within that area, just those. And there's 19 social workers that is our current staffing. And again, we're not looking for any increases in that area. Thank you.
All right, so next steps in our budget development process. As I indicated, we're going to continue doing a review of our programmatic staffing needs and requests, the retirements, the vacancies, the grant-funded positions, and we're going to continue those program reviews in special education continuum, as well as determine any budgetary needs associated with the opening of the new CTE center. Your March 10th budget update is going to be heavily focused on staffing and any needs associated with the CTE building. And we are ready for your questions.
Mr. Levinstein.
So just a couple of quick questions, please. I see it on the paper here, but I didn't think that you said this, that the question is, do you plan to override the tax cap?
No.
And it's, I see it, no, I didn't think you had said that, but that's important.
So what we noted was that we intend to maintain the levy as it is at $113.6 million.
Okay. And the second part, are you far enough along in your budget process to say we will probably have a 5% increase next year for the budget, or 10%, or you're not that far along?
So we are still working through that staffing piece, which, as you know, is the largest portion of our budget. So until we complete that analysis and present that at the next meeting, I think it'd be premature for us to say anything in terms of what we anticipate the overall increase to be year over year.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
So I just want to bring this conversation back up that we had last fall. On slide 28, I see that we have our current sports offerings for the fall. And I want to make sure that unified bocce ball is being included this year. As Dr. Freeman Mack just made great note of, we want access for all of our students. And right now, the unified team has a winter sport and a spring sport. And I know it's been floated the potential for them to be a club instead of a team. With that, they then have to fundraise for busing. So I'd really like to make sure that we are including them in this. If you need to present to us, like what that funding looks like. I don't think it's like a huge number. It's a 4-week sport. So I'd really like to make sure that we are including that.
Thank you. I have one question for you, Ms. Roaring. Going back to page 2, there's a bullet on funds used to offset legal liability, which is under the OSC audit, and it's $16 million. It's a big line item that we used cash for. And my understanding of this is these were lawsuits that go back, in some cases, decades, and the state, somewhere around the year 2020, 2022, modified the Child Victims Act that anybody age 55 or less could go back and file suit against a district or a government, which essentially meant you could be out of school for 37 years and sue the district. And that happened to us at a very large expense.
Yes.
However, what would be the expense of borrowing? And borrowing is a fancy term, but schools don't borrow, they bond.
Right.
But if we bonded $16 million at the time,
So our total was about $16.3 million. I believe there were 5 settlements or so woven up in that total. And if we were to have issued debt, which would be our bond, to cover that expense and amortize it over 15 years, that's probably about $22 million. You have the cost of issuance, you have the ongoing cost of interest, and that would have been an ongoing recurring expense we would have had to plan for in each year's budget going forward, and would have then taken away resources on an annual basis from our program and our focus on students. So yes, we did do the lump sum payment.
right, thank you. And the state has since adjusted it that these could be taken out over 30 years, which is, it sounds wonderful, but it's like taking your American Express out over 30 years. Yes, you're paying $30 a month, but it's an awful lot of money. So my point here is, yes, there was surplus funds. We acknowledge that.
Yes.
Instead of borrowing $16 million, which would balloon to $22 million, we spent the $16 million in cash. Because $16 million in cash, with this sort of settlement, there's no return on investment.
That's correct.
Whereas if we bond an HVAC system in Bombville, for instance, well, yes, we may bond $50 million. It may cost us $75 million. But on the flip side of the equation, we're also saving in our energy cost, making the schools better for the kids. There is an ROI. So it's a long way of saying I think we did the right thing with $16 million. Thank
I
you.
agree with you. The other piece that's different in those two comparisons is that HVAC equipment has an anticipated useful life for most of that borrowing period, so we wouldn't expect to incur that expense again for that period of time.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Anyone else?
All right, great. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Roaring. Thank you, team. Very appreciated. We're moving on to executive session, item 3. Be it resolved that the Board of Education hereby recesses into executive session for the following purpose: matters made confidential under FERPA, matters leading to the employment of particular employees or corporations, employment history of employees or corporations, collective bargaining under the Taylor Law, and to obtain advice from legal counsel. Can I get a motion and a second for executive session?
So move. Second. Ms. Thomasina Bello?
Yes.
Ms. Boucher?
Yes.
Mr. Bergarelli?
Yes.
Ms. Burks?
Yes.
Mr. Duray?
Yes.
Mr. Howard?
Yes.
Mr. Levinstein?
Yes.
Ms. Politi?
Yes.
Ms. Christine Bello?
Yes.
Thank you. We anticipate about 30 minutes. Thank you. We're back in public session. To lead us tonight with the Pledge of Allegiance, Mr. Levinstein.
And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Levinstein. Before we get into the agenda, I just want to share a couple of thoughts. I want to briefly address a letter to the editor published this week by a sitting trustee regarding the February 10th Board of Education meeting and the progress that was recognized across our schools. In that letter, the trustee wrote that lowering expectations may create the appearance of progress. I believe it is important to respond to that idea directly. Every trustee has the right to express their views as a private citizen. That's a critical part of public service. But public statements by members of this board carry weight, whether we like it or not. It is one thing to debate policies and leadership decisions. That's healthy, it's necessary, and it's why we have a variety of opinions on the board. It is another to suggest that improvement is not real or that there is little to celebrate when our educators and students have worked hard to achieve that progress. The improvements discussed at that meeting did not occur on paper. They happened in classrooms. They reflect the work of our teachers, our staff, and our students across this district. Many trustees spend significant time in our classrooms and see firsthand the real work taking place every day to support our students and drive the progress we are seeing. That has been a focus of this board, to get into the classrooms, to not have somebody tell us what's going on, but to go see for ourselves. And it's been very enlightening, and we see people working very, very hard to educate our kids. Whatever our differences as trustees, our teachers and students should never be placed in the middle of those disagreements. They deserve our respect and recognition when progress is made. When progress is dismissed or minimized in public, it sends a clear message that the work of our educators does not matter. I believe this is unfair to the professionals in our classrooms who show up every day for our students, and I believe the majority of the board, as previously demonstrated in recognizing these achievements, stands firmly behind their work. Recognizing progress does not mean ignoring challenges. Look where we're sitting tonight. We're meeting the challenge head on with a tremendous staff, a public hearing, great questions, great participation. We're going to get it right. We understand there are issues. We can do two things at the same time. We can celebrate and we can address issues. It means acknowledging honest effort and real improvement when it occurs. Our teachers, staff, and students deserve that recognition. With that, we're going to proceed with tonight's agenda. 4.1 agenda items, comments. Thank you.
There's nobody signed up to speak on agenda items. If you would like to address the board on agenda items, please come to the podium. Moving on to non-agenda items, if you'd like to address the board on non-agenda items, please come to the podium.
Ms. Politi.
If there's no one who's going to speak, I have something to say. Good evening. I too want to respond directly to the recent public letter to the editor regarding our school's return to good standing written by Ms. Christine Bello. Let's be clear, implying that our progress is simply the result of lowered standards is misleading. The New York State Department of Education recalibrates accountability measures statewide every year for every district as mandated under federal ESSA requirements. Every student succeeds X. That process affects every district in New York. These adjustments are technical and statistical, not political favors, and certainly not crafted to benefit Newburgh specifically. To suggest otherwise misinforms the public. More importantly, dismissing our gains as cosmetic disregards the extraordinary work of our teachers and the measurable growth of our students. Educators did not work long hours, refine instruction, and implement evidence-based practices just to be told their success is an illusion created by the state. What changed in this district was the work. Our teachers adjusted instruction. They implemented structured literacy practices. They monitored growth relentlessly. Our students showed measurable gains. To imply that their progress is merely the result of relaxed expectations diminishes their professionalism and their effort. That narrative places educators and children in the middle of a political disagreement, and they do not belong there. Regarding literacy, the science of reading is a body of research, again, not a singular core reading program. It is embedded in instructional practice here, including within ARC and the supplemental phonics resources that were in place well before 2025. There was no sudden state rescue of this district and no statewide ban on a named vendor. The assertions that you, Ms. Bello, made about an acting superintendent introducing the science of reading last year in February are false. The current administration introduced the science of reading under Dr. Manning Campbell's leadership no less than 2 years prior. The C&I department presented this information to the board twice in 2024. That work has been ongoing for several years. Under the same acting superintendent, you, Ms. Bello, credited with doing great work, all building leaders who led growth and improvement were targeted and threatened to lose their positions during her time in that role. Why would that be? Publicly labeling a contracted company as ineffective while we remain under agreement exposes the district to unnecessary legal and fiscal risk. Governance requires discipline in how we speak about partners and whom we have binding contracts with. Everyone is entitled to their opinion, but when a sitting trustee publishes commentary about district operations, it carries weight beyond that of just a taxpayer, despite any disclaimer you added to your letter. We can expect accountability without rewriting context. We can maintain high standards while recognizing real growth. Our teachers earned that recognition. Our students earned that recognition. They deserve better than to have their work reduced to a technical adjustment, especially by someone who has been elected to represent them. Thank you.
Thanks, Ms. Paletti. Mr. Levinstein, please.
So I didn't really prepare anything, but I'm going to combine two things. I'm going to first say that my 4 children went to this building in South. This was the building that we picked for them to go, and that they received a great education here by the teachers and the staff, and I looked over the part of the presentation, and I guess my kids were here out of 4 of the 5 changes of leadership, but they did well, and everything went good, and I'm glad. And I would always recommend South. And I know South sometimes didn't have the reputation, but I always did for any parent that said anything, and I was never nervous about sending my kids here. So that's part one of this. Part two is, if my kids, I'm going to do it personal first, if they weren't doing well and then all of a sudden they did better on a test or some kind of appraisal that the district did, and they got better, I would certainly be the first one to congratulate them to doing that and all the teachers that did that. So it's not, I understand that at times the scoring design gets changed, but that doesn't matter. And now I have more than 4 kids. I have 11,000 kids, and I would really support them if they got better grades, and I would support the building staff and the teachers that made that happen. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Levesey. Mr. Howard, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. So I too was a little disturbed when I read the editorial. So, you know, I put something together that I'm going to read. It's basically dovetailing on my colleagues, but I think it's important that I express my feelings, being a member of this board for 14 years, being born and raised in this community, and just being a goldback for life. So I'm speaking tonight regarding the recent editorial by a taxpayer/trustee that dismissed the recognition of 5 of our schools being placed on the good standing list by the New York State Education Department. Let me be clear. Minimizing this achievement as a false celebration is not constructive criticism. It is outright discouraging and dismissive of the very people we are entrusted to support: our district employees, our students, and our families. As trustees, there is a responsibility that comes with this role. That responsibility includes oversight and accountability, yes, but it also includes leadership, encouragement, and respect for the educators and students who work tirelessly every single day building the Goldback Standard. Publicly undermining their progress does not strengthen our schools. It weakens the morale, it erodes trust, and ultimately leads to a divided community. To suggest that this recognition is simply the result of lower standards disregards the dedication, long hours, and intentional effort that have gone into improving outcomes for our students. Improvement does not happen automatically. It happens because teachers refine instruction, administrators provide direction, support staff ensure stability, and allows our students to rise and meet expectations. I have personally visited classrooms by invitation and witnessed the engagement, the rigor, the commitment taking place. The progress being made is real. It reflects hard work and persistence. Constructive dialogue about how to continue improving is always welcome and necessary and should take place. But dismissing measurable progress sends the wrong message, not only to our educators and staff, but to our students who deserve to feel proud of their accomplishments, no matter what the size. As board members and community leaders, our words carry weight. We must be mindful that our public statements either build confidence in our district or undermines it. My question is, what was the intent of this editorial? I will leave that for each of you to decide. Tonight, I would like to thank every teacher, teaching assistant, teacher's aide, administrator, support staff, members, and our students who contributed to this achievement. Your work matters. Your effort is recognized, and your progress deserves to be acknowledged. Board members, let us lead reasonably, responsibly, and speak thoughtfully, and continue moving our district forward together. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Howard. Ms. Bello, go ahead.
I'm very sorry that everyone has such an aversion to the truth. But when I was elected to provide oversight, accountability, and most importantly, transparency for the people that gave me the privilege to sit here and represent them. I'm sorry, we were given that the last meeting was a big celebration. No data was given to us. We're just told everything's good. And I'm sorry, I told the truth. And you may not like what you read, but you certainly do have an aversion to full transparency that should have been included, that The state lowered its benchmarks and made it much easier, and not just for our district, for a lot of districts, just to move schools on out of the worrisome list. So I don't apologize for it. That's my freedom of speech, and I'm entitled to my opinion, and I will not be chastised by this group especially. Thank you.
Thanks, Ms. Bello. Ryan.
I'd first like to preface that I have not read the editorial, but given the context of this conversation, I'd like to make a brief statement. Regardless of where our standards are, we are improving. The whole point of us being here is to improve the school system that we're currently under. Any improvement is improvement regardless of where our standards are. I would not be half the man I am today were it not for everyone sitting here, the teachers watching, the faculty watching, even the janitors watching, everyone watching. I would not be half the man I am today. And I think that regardless, like I can't preface it enough, that regardless of where our standards are, any improvement is improvement. The whole point of this is improvement, and that's all I'd like to say. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I'd like to know, how do you measure
Ms. Bello,
improvement
Ms. Bello,
if
I
you
didn't
have
call
no
on you.
data?
Ms. Bello, you're out of order. I didn't call on you. Sade.
Good evening. Since we're on this topic of the letter, I noticed in the letter that you did mention the budget, and I just have a few questions. I wanted to make sure that we have everything in order and a total understanding of teaching and learning and how that fits in the budget. Let's make sure we have everything we need, because as per your letter to the editor, Ms. Bello, our students are apparently incapable of growth and our teachers are incapable of raising test scores. How did the district lower expectations? What changed at the state level to lower expectations? And since you spoke of accountability benchmarks, what are they and how have they changed? What evidence do you have that the state lowered those benchmarks? Or are you just assuming our students are incapable of growth and our teachers can't teach them how to improve? May you please answer my question?
It's published data, it's public information.
Ms. Burks, it's a public comment session. It's not a question and answer session.
Okay, I'll ask later. Thank you.
Dr. Mack?
I would like to respond to this. So I do agree with one fundamental point you raised in your recent commentary, Trustee. Progress has to be real, it has to be measurable and sustainable. But where I respectfully disagree is with the suggestion that the February 10th Board of Education presentation misrepresented facts or relied on low standards or expectations to manufacture a narrative of success that was not achieved. That's a problem. The public record reflects a more complex and accurate picture. When you speak about data, the data is with the state. It belongs to them. They provide it to us. When we talk about measurable outcomes and accountability, in Sade's question, I'm going to help you with it just a little. And I did believe within our presentation we had it in there. So what are they measuring? Let's see. As it relates to accountability, they're measuring multiple factors: academic performance, chronic absenteeism, graduation outcomes, attendance, and the graduation rate. Those are the areas that they're looking at. With COVID, across the nation, we've seen issues with learning and teaching and disconnects. And it wasn't just New York State that said, let's revise and look at and create opportunities to be cohesive and to allow institutions such as ours that serve students to better equip our teaching and our learning. So that revision didn't lower the standards. In actuality, it increased them. But if you go to the website, to New York State Department of Education. It'll explain what those revisions were and how we met them as a district. I think that New York State, the shift that they made to evidence-based literacy instruction, it wasn't theirs. It didn't come from them. So the literacy briefs came from Harvard Graduate School in 2022. They didn't come from New York State. New York State adopted them. I want to say it was Dr. Lassay, her research that created them and produced them. We rolled out the literacy briefs in this district, Dr. Campbell. We started rolling it out when I got here, when you got here in 22-23. We rolled it out more so in 23-24 and 24-25. We did 3 presentations in 24-25. I partnered with Dr. Soto and Dr. O'Grady. The directors presented one as well. The literacy briefs and the science of reading are not new. It's just what good teaching is, and it didn't come from one person or one entity. It's a whole bunch of different things. But I will say this about the work that's been happening here, and I wrote it down to make sure that it would make sense. So the district's early literacy gains reflect sustained and coordinated work, including curriculum replacement, professional learning, instructional coaching, progress monitoring, and fidelity checks at the classroom level. These efforts were implemented over multiple years. I'm gonna say it 3 times. Maybe it'll hit. Multiple years, multiple years. Improvement is never seen in 1 year. It just can't be. We need time to apply, to have analysis, and to have evidence to support it. And required intentional leadership, labor, and accountability, evidence-based practices. The measurable outcomes reported are the result of system-wide execution and continuous monitoring, which has been implemented over the past 4 years under the current leadership. Over the past 4 years under the current leadership. One thing you mentioned on sustainability and leadership. So the February 10th presentation didn't characterize the district's progress as a sweeping turnaround. No, not at all. It's really presented data, including movement out of identification status, while clearly acknowledging that continued improvement is necessary. Sustainability is precisely why these efforts are embedded within Newburgh and Large City School District's comprehensive educational plans, its multi-tiered systems of support, and ongoing professional learning. These structures are designed to endure beyond any single accountability cycle or adjustment in state metrics. And again, that's something that's been executed under the current leadership. So, you can retain the right to express your perspectives. Any board member can, and they should, including how they choose to participate during public presentations. However, recognizing school and student improvement should not be conflated with ignoring historical challenges or engaging in selective storytelling.
Excuse me, it's public comment. It's 5 minutes.
I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Okay. I didn't know I was being timed.
Anyone else? All right, moving on to Section 6, Superintendent.
Thank you. Thanks for the explanation. Good evening. I know that I shared this for the last few meetings, but I wanted to share again that I am pleased that the teacher's contract has been settled. We are awaiting ratification by members of the Newburgh Teachers Association. Once that occurs, the signed contract will be shared with our Board of Education for consideration. Next, I want to thank our dedicated buildings and grounds and custodial teams once again for their cleanup efforts this winter. We have had more snow this year than we have had combined in recent years. I continue to be thankful for our teams who wake up extra early to make sure our buildings are ready for student and teacher arrival, despite what Mother Nature has thrown our way. I know that many of us are counting the number of snow days, knowing that winter is far from over. We have approached the Newburgh Teachers Association with preparations to continue learning despite the winter weather in hopes of saving those valuable vacation days. Next, 6.2, I'd like to invite Tom and Ben to the podium to present a capital bond update. And Ms. Roaring.
So this evening, we're going to start the capital projects update a little bit differently. And I'm going to present some work that we have been able to accomplish over the last 3.5 years. And then they're going to provide their customary update on the ongoing construction. So I'm going to start with Heritage Middle School. Back in June of 2022, we awarded contracts for the cafeteria addition and the permanent AC, which I know were long-awaited projects to be done in that building. That project was completed in the fall of 2023. At Heritage, we also designed site work project that expanded the bus loop to meet regulations, created a parent queue, provided a second point of entry and egress to that campus that was long needed, and redid and expanded the existing parking lot. We were able to work collaboratively with the county to have approval for that second point of egress. We also collaborated with the New Windsor Police Department to design the parent queue to mitigate the queuing out on Route 300. This project was awarded in the spring of 2024 and completed in the spring of 2025. Next is Valesgate. Again, those contracts were awarded in June of 2022 for the addition and permanent AC there. This addition replaced temporary classrooms that had stood for decades that were never intended to be there that long. It includes new music classrooms, as well as spaces for OT/PT, English language learners, and our student support spaces. This project was also completed back in the fall of 2023, lest we forget. The NFA Main Emergency Concrete Project is one of those ones that has lingered a little longer. We identified that the shoring in the stair area at the rear of the building was insufficient and the stairs were at risk of collapse. Promptly identifying a contractor who could probably shore up this area to mitigate the risk of catastrophic failure. We worked with our architect, CS Arch, to design a solution, which also includes replacement of the soffit adjacent to that stair, and progress has been made to ready that building for closeout at this time. The NFA main locker room is one we have long waited for. So I want to remind everybody that we identified the need to renovate the boys' locker room and team room, and for equity reasons also included a brand new girls' team room, something they'd never had before. This was put to the voters in May of 2023. We again worked with our architect, CS Arch, to design that solution and new space and got approval from SED. Unfortunately, because of the timing of this, we experienced an extended approval period with SED because they prioritized the review of projects being funded in districts by the one-time federal dollars ARP ESSER. So we got put to the back of the queue because we were not using those dollars for our project. This project was 100% paid from the capital reserve. Contracts were awarded in May of 2025, and that project is in closeout. We are looking forward to a ribbon cutting very shortly. We also were notified by Central Hudson in the winter of 2024 that 2 of our buildings, Meadow and Temple Hill, were at risk of power loss being catastrophic. If we lost power in that building, they could not guarantee that they would be able to restore power, shutting down operations in those schools indefinitely. We took immediate action, working with our architect, Labella, at the time, to design and submit for approval plans to replace those very vintage transformers at the schools in collaboration with Central Hudson. The board declared an emergency in April of 2024. The bid was awarded in May of 2024, and that work was completed in the summer of 2024, readying these buildings for their permanent AC installation in the summer of 2025. Proposition 5, Phase 1, as we all refer to that as the HVAC proposition. That was to install permanent air conditioning and support some needed electrical upgrades to make that happen. Phase 1 included Meadow and Temple Hill, as well as select areas in GAMS, primarily their pre-K wing. We obtained SED approval and contracts were awarded by the board in February of 2025. This project is considered substantially complete. GAMS is in project closeout. Meadow and Temple are waiting for the air conditioning season to arrive, which I'm sure we all are at this point. We've had enough snow. So once we go back to the cooling season, we will be finishing out the startup and commissioning and programming of those units. Proposition 5, Phase 2. I had learned that we needed to do additional electrical upgrades in these 3 schools, which is Bombville, Fostertown, and Gardnertown. We designed the electrical upgrades to go to SED separate from the mechanical piece to get approval and do that work prior to preparing for the installation of the permanent AC. Contracts were awarded in June of 2025, and that project was completed last fall. We've also obtained SED approval for the Bombville Permanent Air Conditioning Solution. The board awarded contracts in December and January. The work is starting now with a planned completion for fall of 2026. New Windsor. So New Windsor is one that has been a little longer in progress. It took a while to get SED approval. That didn't come until the spring of 2023. I believe that was up there for over 2 years. The contracts were awarded in August of 2023, and the district paused the project due to issues with design and coordination. We undertook a complete redesign with CS Arch to maximize student space, program needs, and minimize the cost not only of construction, but our ongoing operating cost. It aligned better with the composition of the existing school and more closely met our students' needs. We secured SED approval of the redesign in spring of 2025. We awarded new contracts for the general and site contractor in August of 2025, and that project is underway. You'll hear more about that in the rest of the update. Our CTE building, which is the one who gets all of the attention, and well-deserved. We completed 2 redesigns on that building since I came to the district. Our last redesign was with CS Arch to ensure compliance with the voter-approved proposition language, both in the size of the building and the spaces that were to be created there. We focused our programming on life-sustaining career and technology offerings. SED approval was secured, and the contract was awarded in July of 2024. We remain on schedule to open that building this fall. NFA North Auditorium. This is one that has been long in the queue. We took up that baton. We worked with our architect, CS Arch, to design an auditorium solution for NFA North that would be comparable to that you find in NFA Main, so that they can do all of their own concerts and plays and other programs in their auditorium. It was submitted to SED this fall, and we are awaiting approval. The board has a resolution before them this evening for the HVAC unit purchase, as that is a long lead item, and we are slated to do construction this summer, so it's imperative we have that in hand. NYSERDA Clean Green Schools. This is where there's overlap and connection between the departments. So we had the opportunity when I first came to the district to work with our director of grants at that time to complete track 1 of a possible grant funding program for HVAC work in our schools. We completed that review with ME Engineering in the 22-23 school year. Subsequent to receiving that report, we identified that 2 schools that would be our best option to pursue this grant funding because they still used fossil fuel for their heating, and that was something they were very interested in ridding us of. So with CS Arch, we filed our Track 2 application for Fostertown and Gardnertown for grant funds up to $5 million each to put in a geothermal heating and cooling solution for those schools. We put this before the voters last May. They approved it. There will be some use of capital reserve fund as needed to support the completion of the project, up to $3 million. We are still waiting a formal notification from NYSERDA, and we look forward to being able to have some positive news to share shortly. We are at this time doing some initial investigative work so we can try and be ready for an award notification. Meadow Hill and Temple Hill. So during our construction last summer on the HVAC, the electrical engineer determined that we not only had needed to redo the transformers, we also needed to do the switchgear. We found a temporary workaround, we executed that, and we turned on the AC in the fall. However, we have to do a switchgear replacement at those schools. So we've worked with our architect, CS Arch, to design that and submit that to SED for approval. On the board's agenda this evening is a resolution to procure that equipment. That is a long lead item of 4 to 5+ months. We are looking to have that work done this summer, so it's imperative we be able to proceed with that procurement in order to be able to do that work this summer. We are anticipating a bid award this spring to actually do the labor. And that is a summary of all the things we've done in the capital world for the last 3.5 years.
Good evening. It's a pleasure to be here again with you this evening to give our capital updates. And following that, I'm not sure you really need an update, but we're going to start. I always start with this slide, the purpose of school construction to improve the education for children. So with that, we'll start with the locker room renovations. As As Ms. Roaring mentioned, we are really down to the closeout. We're retrofitting some door hardware. Cameras are being installed at the direction of Mr. Sager, and we are anticipating a ribbon cutting early March. So it looks lovely, and as we promised with the last update, some before and after pictures to give you a little glimpse about what this looks like. Obviously, I've shown you the plan many times before, but here are the befores and afters. So the before on the left and the afters on the right. It is more striking. I don't even remember how bad they looked previously when you walk through the spaces. But this is the main locker room, certainly much more organized. This is the girls' team room. You can see very, very different in its makeup and setup, and even in the toileting and shower functions. So here you have all individual compartment showers, not the group shower rooms that you would typically have in those early buildings of 50s and 60s. So very, very different. The students are going to love it. It looks amazing. So please join us for the ribbon cutting. That's going to be exciting. And one last one. This is the previous locker room office. This happens to be the boys' coach's office. We do have a girls' coach's office as well. Pretty much look the same. So now we'll go on to the emergency concrete project. As Ms. Roaring pointed out, we are in closeout. That's fantastic. And actually, this slide is probably wrong now. So the board did approve additional work on October 14th of last year to replace the breezeway soffit, which we all remember was heavily damaged over the years. We anticipate completion of the ceiling March 6th. Well, it was actually completed today, and the lights went in today, so that's a good thing. We do have some photographs. So the whole project, the original contract was $1,050,000. We added the breezeway ceiling, so the total revised contract value, $1,316,306. We do have some photographs, but all of that ceiling now that you see that's missing is all there now, along with the lights. So that happened actually today. It looks amazing and really cleans up that whole area. You can see the amount of damage from the previous ceiling that we replaced. And now that upper room is much more warm, I should say. We were having trouble keeping heat with that ceiling being down because of the cold weather that we've been having. So now let's get to the project. Everyone certainly is focused on the new CTE building. We're making amazing progress. Eventually, we're going to stop showing renderings. We're going to show you an actual picture of the school. For the next presentation, we'll have an actual photograph of the front of the school because it's looking fantastic. We're currently about 80% complete, so you can see we're really nearing the time when we're really focused on that move-in date. A lot of the second floor walls are primed and painted. Ceiling grids are installed in the labs and classrooms. Casework is actively being installed. I'll show you some photographs of that. The tile in the bathrooms, the culinary is underway. Really amazing. I'll show you a picture of that as well. The polished concrete floors are progressing to the second floor. You'll see the interior pictures, but they're all covered up because we're trying to protect them. So you won't see really the polished floors yet. So that'll be a big reveal at the end. The elevator is installed and completed. We still have testing to do. The cable tray, security, building controls, all of that is in process. Like I said, the culinary equipment deliveries are in, and all of that equipment is now being installed. I'll show you a picture of that. The gymnasium, basketball hoops, the scoreboard, all of that's installed. The ceiling's been painted, and I'll show you that as well. So it's really coming along. Picture from the exterior. Obviously, we're finishing up the interior. In the spring, you're going to see a real renewed focus on getting the exterior completed, and so that'll be really a big push in that regard. Here you can see one of the science classrooms, the casework installed, all the individual student workstations, lab stations, the ceiling in place. So this is really progressing nicely. One of the corridors, this is the second floor corridor, I believe, in the north wing. You can see now all that is going to remain exposed, everything up in the ceiling. Again, this is a learning building. This is where the students can learn everything that goes into building a building. You can see the floors are covered up, so we can't really show you the polished concrete, but you can see it's progressing very, very nicely. typical classroom, looking at the window wall, and then looking at the opposite wall, the corridor wall. Again, classrooms have casework in it as well for various storage of educational materials. There's the shiny new elevator, looks wonderful. Can't wait till it gets tested and we're ready to go. You can see again the floors are covered up, so we can't really see the polished floors yet. There's the culinary. You can see the culinary equipment, all the ventilation systems, all of the various equipment for cooking is going in to create all those student stations and all the demonstration. It's really looking great. The floor is in, as you can see, the floor is down and in place. It's going to be amazing. It's really good. This is the room I want to be in when the kids show up at the building to begin with, because this space is just mind-blowing. What an opportunity it will be for these students. There's the gymnasium. You can see the backboards. You can see the scoreboard. The ceiling's been painted. Obviously, the wood competition floor is not installed yet. That is coming, and then that'll really finish off that space and really make it look amazing. I think with that, I'm going to turn it over to Ben. Bottom button.
Good evening. So this is our budget update for the CTE. This gives you an overview of what was approved change order wise. And this is a list of approved change orders since the last meeting. You'll see the total. You'll see the total is listed here at the top. And then we give kind of an overview here of all the contract costs. This next page just shows you upcoming changes, changes that are in process. There's about $2 million listed here as expected to come for change orders, as well as current change orders under review, which is this other column here on the opposite side. Now we're going to go into our update for New Windsor Elementary School. Currently, demolition at the rear of the building is complete. The poured building footings and foundation walls for the lower level lobby for the new building addition have been done. There's still more foundation work to be poured, but getting that building demoed in the back will open up that additional work that needs to tie the two buildings together. The new mechanical ductwork installation is in progress, as well as the lower floor of the existing building to facilitate the new mechanical upgrades. And then the electrician is installing new electrical panels to support the new mechanical equipment, electrical loads that are part of the existing building. And here's some before and after photos. You can see that wing right here. The pointer's not really showing on the screen, but you can see that the wing of building that was taken off, they demoed it back. They've got the roof temped off and are currently starting to prepare for foundation work in that section. And here's some progress photos of the building foundation work that has occurred at New Windsor for the new addition. And then just some more progress photos. This is some interior photos of the existing building, just showing you some electrical and mechanical upgrade work to prepare for the summer push. So this is just trying to get this infrastructure in now. This is happening on second shift or night work, we call it. This is an overview of contracts to date. Total construction cost, hard cost, is the $25 million number up top, and that's comprised of Kesselman Electric, Dynamic Systems, mechanical and plumbing, O'Connor Company, who's the general contractor, and our Genio Brothers, who's provided the site work, and Day Automation, who's providing building controls for the mechanical equipment. Now we're moving into Proposition 5, Phase 2 HVAC upgrades. This is for Bombville Elementary School. All contractors have been awarded. Submittals have started for all trades. Bonds have been approved. Insurances are the last thing that we're waiting to complete. One of three have submitted their correct insurance. The other two, we're working back and forth to get those submitted and approved. Work will begin on second shift once insurances are approved. Project completion schedules for fall of 2026. And I'll just note that we had a very good meeting with the principal today to just go through the work that's upcoming for Bonneville. 2019 proposition bond budget update. We've showed this before, and this gives you a listing of what the original budget cost was back in 2019 when this proposition was built, and more or less a comparison of where we are in those budget numbers. Some of the projects did not go against that original plan, so there was escalation costs, but some of the work has panned out the way it's supposed to. So this just gives an update on the bond referendum cost updates. Again, this is just a continuation page of that budget update. And then going to the cost reporting definitions, we've reviewed this before, and the definition for incidental costs as well as construction hard costs. Does anybody have any questions?
I just want to say, as I was perusing the district with, during snow days, one thing that it was nice to see is that everybody was working on the capital project sites in New Windsor and just still completing work. So that was something I'm like, oh, we're not here, but they're here. So that was a good thing to see.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Peterson. Anyone else? Ryan?
This isn't a question, I apologize, rather a statement. The locker rooms look amazing. I used to go in the locker rooms all the time for sports. They look so much better, so great job.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Thank you so much. It's always appreciated. We have, in Section 6, 2 resolutions for approval, 6.3 and 6.4. Would anybody like to separate out 6.3 or 6.4? Thank you. Get a motion and a second on 6.3 and 6.4. Get a motion and a second on 6.3, 6.4?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion on these items? Go ahead, sir.
Ms. Boucher?
Yes.
Mr. Bergarelli? Yes. Ms. Burks?
Yes. Yes.
Mr. Duray?
Yes.
Mr. Howard?
Yes.
Mr. Levenstein? Yes. Ms. Politi?
Yes.
Ms. Christine Bello?
Yes.
Ms. Thomasina Bello?
Yes.
Thank you. Moving on to Section 7, Board President. We have one item tonight, resolution to authorize Board President to execute retainer agreement with Shore Perlson, May and Lambert for tax services. Get a motion and a second on this, please.
So move.
Second.
Second?
Second.
Thank you. Discussion on the item. Ms. Bello, go ahead.
Yes, just curious, why does this agreement extend beyond the fiscal year?
Maybe Ms. Rory could help us with that. Ms. Rory? There's a question on the floor. I'm not sure you could help with. The contract for the retainer extends beyond the year.
So this is actually something we discussed with the clerk. That's how this cycle has been for many, many years. It dates back to the initial board approval of this arrangement with our legal firm.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yes, Ms. Bell.
So just to be certain, I just want to make sure that, will this in any way prevent an incoming board from appointing new counsel at the reorganization meeting?
This is not new counsel. This is just a tax service.
I understand that, but I'm just saying, I thought this was in his original contract. So this is a special service.
This agreement, I don't believe, someone could help me, Ms. Roaring, has never been included in the contract. This is a separate service. Yes.
So
this is the service the district has to employ to represent us when there is a tax concern that's brought against the district. So this is a normal part of a practice. We need sometimes someone to represent us if there is a property owner that has a concern about any of their tax bill. And it's separate and apart from our general legal expenses.
Thank you. Any further questions? Go, sir.
Mr. Bergarelli?
Yes.
Ms. Burks?
Yes.
Mr. Duray?
Yes.
Mr. Howard?
Yes.
Mr. Levenstein?
For a completely different reason than Ms. Bello, but no.
Ms. Politi?
Yes.
Ms. Christine Bello?
no.
Ms. Thomasina Bello?
No.
Ms. Boucher?
Yes.
Thank you. We're at 8-1. Mr. Orsino, student update.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me tonight. Before we delve into all that's happened in Newburgh recently, I have two discrepancies I'd like to share. The student portal has been a staple in grading for longer than I can remember. It's a good system with a fluid user interface. My concern comes from grades not always being shown. Every marking period, there's a time frame where grades are unavailable to be seen by students and parents. For example, I'm not good at calculus. If there's a period of time where I don't know what my grade is, I don't want to flood my teacher with emails or personal questions. Without access to my grade, it's difficult to determine whether I needed to dedicate extra time to reviewing certain topics before the marking period ended. Consistent grade visibility would save time for parents, teachers, and students throughout the district. Another major issue is the morning entry lines. While we are thankfully past the worst of the freezing temperatures, this should still be treated as a serious priority. When arriving at NFA in the morning, students are immediately met with overwhelming crowds waiting to get inside. The lines often wrap around the building, leaving students stranded outdoors. On days when temperatures drop below freezing, students are forced to stand outside for 20 minutes or more, meaning they are not only missing valuable instructional time, but also putting their health at risk. Some students are unfortunate enough to have winter clothes to mitigate the cold. When I was in middle school, we used to have 2-hour delays if the wind chill was below a certain temperature. It could be something worth considering if there's no structural solution. I'd like to share some events that have transpired since the last board meeting. Our boys' swim season has come to an end, with the team taking 4th place at sectionals amongst 21 different teams. One swimmer, Connor Mummery, qualified for the state championship meet this weekend, so huge shout out to him. Huge congratulations to our varsity girls cheerleading team on bringing home the Section 9 championship title. This is a massive accomplishment, and they deserve all the credit in the world. The coach of the team, Miss Adelaide Burns, was one of my former teachers, so I'd also like to give a massive shout out to her. The team and cheerleaders from all levels are having a Gold Backs cheerleading showcase where the seniors will be recognized and will be sending the team off to states. There will be merchandise, games, and raffles all at the event. It takes place March 5th from 6 to 8 p.m. at NFA Main. Our boys' wrestling season has concluded, so shout out to them for an amazing season. However, 3 of our wrestlers, William Soto, Mateo Morel, and William Coughlin, are heading to the New York State Championships on the 27th and 28th. Thank you all for listening. That is all for today. Thank you for your time and making Newburgh the best it can be.
Thank you, Mr. Orsino. I saw Dr. Soto taking a lot of notes. I'm sure she'll help you. Ms. Peterson.
So I just want to let you know that Dr. Soto and Mr. McGrath will kind of circle back to Student Council on the portal and what concerns exactly you're not seeing. And at our last presentation, budget presentation, I don't think you were the student rep at that meeting, Mr. Sager, our Director of Safety and Security, also kind of talked a little about. So that is a part of our budget planning. One of the things that the board will consider this year is about entry and how we can speed up that process because we are concerned about those long lines. So it'll be a part of the budget process. process and for consideration for next year for some needed upgrades to that process.
Thank you. We're moving on to item 9, Clerk of the Board.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have the approval of the minutes from the February 10th board meeting.
Thank you. Get a motion and a second on 9-1.
So moved.
All votes.
Ms. Burks?
Yes.
Mr. Duray?
Yes.
Mr. Howard? Mr. Levenstein?
Yes.
Ms. Politi?
Yes.
Ms. Christine Bello?
Yes.
Ms. Thomasina Bello?
Yes.
Ms. Boucher?
Yes.
Mr. Bergarelli?
Yes.
If you're interested in running for the board, the packets are available in the clerk's office. You need to get 100 signatures, and they're due the last Wednesday in April. That concludes my items, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. McCoy. Moving on to item 10, Assistant Superintendent, Human Resources. Good evening, Ms. Holder.
Good evening, Mr. President. I have items 10.1 to 10.4 on consent agenda for your consideration.
10.1 to 10.14. Anyone like to separate out any of these items? 1.4, correct, right. Would anybody like to separate out any items? I'll take out 10.13. Can we get a motion and a second on 10.1 to 10.14 minus 10.13?
So moved.
Second. Thank you. Any discussion on any item? Mr. Levenstein.
Ms. Holder, is the following an accurate description of the human resources agenda being presented tonight? HR agenda items A through H, including appointments, change of statuses, leave of absences, retirements, ends of assignment. Abolishing 2 typist positions and creating 2 senior clerk positions. Creating a principal clerk position. Create an NTA teacher stipend for a 21st century facilitator funded by the 21st Century Grant. Rescind and approve after-school elementary literacy and numeracy program appointments. And approve the following appointments. 21st Century After-School Program appointments funded by the 21st Century Grant. Empire After-School Program appointments supported by the $1.4 million grant. English Language Learners Saturday Academy appointments funded by Title III. Heritage Middle School Instructional Leadership Team appointments. Occupational Therapy Support appointments. Spring Athletic Coaches. Neon Nights appointments supported by funds from Empire and 21st Century, and tenure recommendations. Ms. Holder, is this correct?
Yes, it is.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Levenstein. Any further discussion? Okay. So we're voting on 10.1 to 10.14 minus 10.13.
Mr. Duray?
Yes.
Mr. Howard?
Yes.
Mr. Levenstein?
Yes.
Ms. Politi?
Yes.
Ms. Christine Bello?
Yes.
Ms. Thomasina Bello?
Yes.
Ms. Boucher?
Yes.
Mr. Bergarelli?
Yes.
Ms. Burks?
Yes.
Thank you. Item 10.13, be it resolved that upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, the Board of Education approves tenure as listed below. Could I get a motion and a second on 10.13?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion on the item? We have a list of 6 people that have put in the hard work to earn tenure. I'd read their names tonight. Holly Dunn from Gardnertown, Julianne Kachi, teaching assistant from Bombville, Judy Ballou, I might have screwed that one up, but a media specialist from Fostertown, Nicole Lancaster, Sarah Quickla, teaching assistant, Gidney Avenue, Leah Mucci, Horizons on the Hudson's school nurse. Congratulations to all for achieving tenure. Also, there is a June 9th celebration for people who have achieved tenure. Everybody on tonight's list will also be getting an invite. Time to vote.
Mr. Howard?
Yes.
Mr. Levenstein?
Yes.
Ms. Politi?
Yes.
Ms. Christine Bello?
Yes.
Ms. Thomasina Bello?
Yes.
Ms. Boucher?
Yes.
Mr. Bergarelli?
Yes.
Ms. Burks?
Yes.
Mr. Duray?
Yes. Thank you. Item 11, Assistant Superintendent of Finance, Ms. Roaring. Good evening.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Division of Finance presents items 11.1 to 11.8 for your consideration on consent tonight.
Thank you. Would anybody like to separate out any one, 11.1 to 11.8? Get a motion on 11.1 to 11.8 then.
So moved.
Second.
Second?
Thank you. Any discussion on 11.1 to 11.8? Go ahead, sir.
Mr. Levinstein,
Yes.
Ms. Politi,
Yes.
Ms. Christine Bello,
Yes.
Ms. Thomasina Bello,
Yes.
Ms. Boucher,
Yes.
Mr. Bergarelli,
Yes.
Ms. Burks,
Yes.
Mr. Duray,
Yes.
Mr. Howard.
Yes.
Thank you. Item 12, Assistant Superintendent, CIO, DPO, Mr. McGrath, good evening.
Good evening. The Division of Technology and Data presents for the board's consideration on consent items 12.1 through 12.7.
Thank you. Anybody would like to separate out 12.1 to 12.7? Get a motion and a second on 12.1 to 12.7?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Discussion on 12.1 to 12.7? Yes, sir.
Ms. Politi,
Yes.
Ms. Christine Bello,
Yes.
Ms. Thomasina Bello,
Yes.
Ms. Boucher,
Yes.
Mr. Bergarelli,
Yes.
Ms. Burks,
Yes.
Mr. Duray,
Yes.
Mr. Howard,
Yes.
Mr. Levinstein.
Yes.
Thank you. This concludes my items.
Thank you, Mr. McGrath. Item 13, Assistant Superintendent, CNI, Dr. Soto, good evening.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Curriculum and Instruction Division presents agenda items 13.1 through 13.5 for the board's consideration on consent.
Thank you. Would anybody like to separate out 13.1 to 13.5? No. Could I get a motion and a second on 13.1 to 13.5?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion on 13.1 to 13.5? That's sir.
Ms. Christine Bello,
Yes.
Thomasina Bello,
Yes.
Ms. Boucher,
Yes.
Mr. Bergarelli,
Yes.
Ms. Burks,
Yes.
Mr. Duray,
Yes.
Mr. Howard, Mr. Levinstein,
Yes.
Ms. Politi.
Yes.
Thank you. That concludes our items for this evening.
Thank you, Dr. Soto. Item 14, Assistant Superintendent, Exceptional Learners. Good evening, Ms. McKitty-Bromley.
Good evening, Mr. President. The Division of Exceptional Learners presents for your consideration on consent items 14.1 through 14.3.
Thank you. Would anybody like to separate out 14.1 to 14.3? Get a motion and a second on 14.1 to 14.3.
So moved. Second.
Thank you. Any discussion, 14.1 to 14.3? Call the vote.
Thank you.
Ms. Thomasina Bello,
Yes.
Ms. Boucher,
Yes.
Mr. Bergarelli,
Yes.
Ms. Burks,
Yes.
Mr. Duray,
Yes.
Mr. Howard,
Yes.
Mr. Levinstein,
Yes.
Ms. Politi,
Yes.
Ms. Christine Bello.
Yes.
Thank you. Item 15 is not needed. Get a motion and a second to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Ms. Boucher, Mr. Bergarelli,
Yes.
Ms. Burks,
Yes.
Mr. Duray,
Yes.
Mr. Howard, Mr. Levinstein,
Yes.
Ms. Politi,
Yes.
Ms. Christine Bello, Ms. Thomasina Bello.
Yes.